Hey, what's up YouTube fam? It's Ben here. Welcome back to another flow. As always, we got new classes here every Wednesday and Sunday, so please feel free to hit subscribe if you'd like to continue being a part of the crew. With that being said, today's class is going to be very fun, very fluid. We're going to get into the whole body, and the goal is just to be present and open things up and create space and maybe learn some new things about the way we can move. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started in an upright, comfortable seated position. You can sit on your knees, you can sit cross-legged, you can even recline down onto your back if that feels nicer for you. Just something that allows your body to relax, that allows you to land in the moment here. Maybe closing your eyes and noticing your breath. Breathing a little bit deeper, filling up the belly, filling up the chest, and filling up the lungs. Each time you inhale, feel the energy filling up the body. Each time you exhale, feel some tension release as the muscles relax. And then we'll go ahead and take a few deep breaths together. As you're ready, go ahead and exhale everything out, clear your system. Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. Deep breath in. Sigh it out. Deep breath in. Sigh it out. Last one here, deep breath in. Take a pause when you reach the top of your inhale, hold in the energy, and then open the mouth and sigh it out. From here, blink your eyes open, and we'll come into a tabletop position. When you land in your tabletop, start shifting the weight around. Take some circles with the shoulders over the wrists. Maybe you take about 5 circles clockwise and 5 counterclockwise. Maybe you even take these into some figure eights. Anything is possible here as we start to get into the hands, get into the mid-body. Once you feel like you got some good movements in, turn the hands back. Fingertips will face the knees, a little wrist opener here. You can sway the weight forward and back. Or you can take some more of those circles and kind of just notice how they feel. Being explorative. Then shift, fingertips face out to the sides, thumbs face forward-ish. Rock the weight around, maybe just shift left to right, maybe keep going with whatever feels intuitive and good. As you'll see on the screen, I'm not really moving in any particular or specific fashion here. I'm just kind of freely shifting around and noticing what it feels like to press weight into each one of my fingertips, to bring more weight to the right side or to the left side. Just being curious. And then release the hands forward like normal, and then we'll flip one hand at a time so the back of the hand or top of the palm, whatever you want to call it, presses down into the mat. And to me, it can feel good to bunch up the fingertips and release. Or, again, just keep shifting it around and pressing different parts of your hands into the mat. Especially if you've been typing on a keyboard or texting a lot today or anything like that, it's always good to give some wrist love. So go ahead and switch. Release the first hand and then start making some of those stretchies on the other hand. Then as you're feeling ready, palms face forward, normal tabletop, roll through a few cat-cows. So as you inhale, drop the belly, curl the chest forward and up. As you exhale, push everything away and round the spine. Inhales, drop the belly and look forward. Exhales, push away and round. Keep moving through these 2 shapes at the pace of your own breath. And go through maybe 3 more rounds. Good. Come into tabletop and then find a downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Shift the weight around in your down dog. Bend one knee then the other. Shift the heels side to side to open up the side bodies. Remain this free, adventurous being for now. Noticing where the weight goes, how the shape shifts depending on where you place the emphasis. Knowing that we're always fluid beings, we're always changing, evolving, developing, both on the inside and the outside. And that obviously reflects in our yoga practice. From day to day, we're different depending on how we're showing up, depending on what we're bringing onto the mat. But nonetheless, from your downward facing dog, look forward, rise onto your toes, bend your knees, and then roll yourself into a high plank. So straightening out the legs, adjusting as needed into a really strong high plank pose. Driving through the palms, externally rotating the arms so the biceps face forward, triceps back. And we do that so that we're in a strong position as we prep for chaturanga. When we bend the elbows, they'll be tucked in. We also do that because that better integrates the chest muscles. It integrates the shoulder blades onto the back. It just helps it become a more stable position. Working from the foundation, from the ground up. Keep breathing in your high plank for 3, 2, 1. Lower and release the chest all the way down to the mat. When you reach the mat, we'll find a dynamic locust. Bring your fingertips to the mat at about 10 and 2 off the top corners. And as you inhale, lift the chest off the mat. Find expansion. Release on your exhale. And we'll move with our breath. So inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Last one here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. And find a locust pose. Palms reach out behind you. Lift the legs off the mat. Lift the chest off the mat. Feel the shoulder blades hugging onto and around the spine. Feel the legs engage. Maybe point the toes. We'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wonderful strength. Bring the palms down to the mat. Bring the toes down to the mat. First, engage the legs enough that the knees lift off the mat. And then drive through the hands and feet. Press up to your high plank. From here, we'll take a vinyasa. So take a breath in high plank. And as you exhale, drop the knees to the mat. Send the hips back toward the heels. Maybe the forearms touch on the mat. Maybe the elbows are lifted and you're in more of a puppy pose. Gaze between the hands. Start to pull yourself through into a knees, chest, and chin position. Finding a subtle back bend. And then find your upward facing dog. So tops of the feet press down, pull the hips forward, and lift the chest. And then make your way to downward facing dog. From here, we'll roll through a few of those vinyasas, going 1 breath per movement. Really opening things up and building some strength at the beginning of our practice. So we're going to do a modified version this time and add in the locust pose. So bear with me on the first one and then we'll find our rhythm. Inhale, rise high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees a lot. Bring your belly toward your thighs. Inhale, roll yourself forward into high plank. Exhale, lower chest all the way down to the mat. As you inhale, find a locust pose. Reach the hands back. Lift the legs up off the mat. As you exhale, bring hands and feet back down. As you inhale, press up to your high plank. As you exhale, drop the knees, send the hips back toward the heels. As you inhale, pull yourself through into an upward facing dog. And then exhale to your downward facing dog. And if that felt like a lot of madness and you didn't feel like you were breathing with the movements, that's okay, because these things require a little bit of practice and they often require a little bit of muscle memory before we can feel fully comfortable. So let's try it again and see how that feels. Inhale, rise up high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees a lot, belly to thighs. Inhale, wave into a high plank pose. Exhale, lower chest all the way down to the mat. Inhale, reach hands and feet up for a locust pose. Exhale, bring the hands and feet down to the mat, low push-up. Inhale, press up to high plank. Exhale, drop knees, hips send back toward the heels. Inhale, pull yourself through, think knees, chest, and chin into an upward facing dog. And then exhale into a downward facing dog. Beautiful strength so far. Pause here for a couple breaths, and don't worry, we'll get off of the hands soon. But now hopefully we're building a little bit of rhythm with that flow, and we have a couple more opportunities there to create some really nice strength all across the body to start our practice. So let's go for it again. Inhale, rise high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees a lot, belly toward thighs. Inhale, ripples forward to a high plank. Exhale, lower chest and belly all the way to the mat. Inhale, rise up for your locust pose, chest and legs lift. Exhale, release hands and toes down to the mat. Inhale, press up to your high plank position. Exhale, drop knees, send hips back toward the heels. Inhale, pull and swim your way through into an upward facing dog. And exhale into your downward facing dog. Pause again here. Take a couple deep breaths. We have 2 more rounds of that, and then we'll give the hands a break. Believe in yourself, stick with the movements, and find your rhythm. Inhale, rise high onto the toes. Exhale, bend your knees a lot, belly toward thighs. Inhale, waves forward to a high plank. Exhale, bend the elbows and lower chest and belly to the mat. Inhale, lift arms and legs off the mat, locust. Exhale, release bottom of a push-up. Inhale, press up to high plank. Exhale, drop knees, send hips back to heels. Inhale, pull your way through to upward facing dog. And exhale, find your downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. 1 more deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, rise up high onto the toes. Exhale, bend your knees a lot, belly to thighs. Inhale, wave yourself through the high plank. Exhale, slowly lower chest to mat. Inhale, rise up to locust pose. Exhale, release to bottom of push-up. Inhale, rise up to high plank. Exhale, knees drop, hips and back to heels. Inhale, pull yourself through into an upward facing dog. And then exhale, find a downward facing dog. From here, look forward between the hands and then walk forward to the top of the mat for a forward fold. Find stillness here. A nice opportunity to catch our breath, to find some restorative feelings here in this fold. As you'll see, I just kind of have my arms dangling down the mat, or dangling down to the mat rather, because that allows me to feel lazy in my shoulders by releasing tension, allowing the muscles in my upper body to relax as much as they can. So the weight is in the feet for me. I'm trying to even bring the weight into the heels of the feet. I have some micro bends in my knees, which helps me hinge at the waist and really bow forward. I'm also finding some sways side to side. I'm telling you that just to give you some options, right? You definitely don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. You can take it your own way and manifest it into something that feels great for you. Knowing that it's beautiful that we get to share this practice, and at the same time, this practice is different for every single one of us. We all live in different bodies. We all have different brains inside of those bodies. And we're all just on the mat, finding our practice, finding our presence. From here, find a halfway lift. You can keep the hands on the mat. You can bring the hands up to your thighs maybe to help you extend the spine. And then release to fold. Press through the feet, drive up to stand, lift the palms overhead. Sink down into a chair pose. Hips sink nice and low into the mat. So the weight is really in the heels of the feet now. You can maybe even wiggle the toes and use that to send the hips back in space and sit down further. We'll be here for 5, 4. Option to even rise onto the toes if you'd like to. It's optional for 3, 2, 1. Fold forward, release, let that go. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale, fold and step back to your high plank. From high plank, slowly lower chest and belly down to the mat and come up to a locust pose. This time you're welcome to hold locust pose for a few breaths or bend your knees, reach back for a bow pose, bending at the knees and reaching for the inner blades of the feet, and then driving the feet through the hands to open up through the hips, lifting the knees higher and opening up through the chest as the shoulder blades hug together on the back body. Breathe into the opening, breathe into the constriction. For 5, 4, 3, beautiful job, y'all. For 2, 1, release the legs and arms, bottom of a push-up. Rise up to your high plank. Drop the knees, send the hips back in space. Look forward between the palms, pull yourself through to an upward facing dog, and then release back to a downward facing dog. Beautiful Good job. Breathe here. Find your sway side to side. Find your rhythm in your down dog. And then we'll move into a standing flow. So as you inhale, lift your right leg up to the sky for three-legged dog. Then take a big step right foot to right thumb, rising up to a high crescent lunge. Take your time rising into this lunge, and you can even bring a nice bend into the left knee here to help you kind of find some of that buoyancy and consistency for the first lunge of the class. Good. From here, take a breath in. And as you exhale, open the arms up to the right side. So the left hand reaches forward, the right hand reaches back in space. And what I'd like us to do is kind of sway forward and back like a saw almost. So as you'll see, I'm kind of reaching and creating that line of tension between the right and left hands by reaching back with the right hand and reaching forward with the left hand, and using that line of tension to allow me to sway forward and back, which creates length and expansion in my side body and around my spine. Embrace the weirdness of this movement. Come back through a high crescent lunge, release that as both hands reach up, and then open out to your warrior two. So for warrior two, the left heel is down onto the mat. The left foot is putting forward at about 45 degrees. We're opening ourselves out to the side. And this is a position, again, where we're off the hands, so do what you can to relax the shoulders. And find your breath in this shape. Straighten the right leg, reach the right hand up to reverse your triangle. Take a breath in, then exhale, find your triangle trikonasana pose. You can reach your right hand down to rest on your shin, or you can reach the right hand down to the mat or to a block. Whatever's comfortable, whatever works with your mobility in this moment. Beautiful work. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. As you breathe in, rise up into a standing position, pivot both feet to face toward the left side of your mat, and then fold forward down the middle. Standing wide-legged forward fold. You can take this to kind of wherever feels good to you. You can crawl the hands underneath the legs. You can crawl the hands out in front of you for a kind of a wide-legged down dog. You can reach the hands to the left foot and then the right foot. Explore your space here as we get into the inner hamstrings. And this intention of today's class is just to really become an explorer of our range of motion. Just to see where we can take these movements, both the expanding ones and the strengthening ones. Think if maybe we can find some new space or find some new capabilities of movement. And if we don't, that's also okay too. From here, crawl the hands to the back of your mat, so toward the left foot, and we'll come into a runner's lunge facing the back of our mat. Rise onto your fingertips, lean the heart forward. Take a breath in. As we exhale, firmly plant the palms on the mat and step the left foot back to the right for a high plank. Slowly lower the chest down to the mat, and then lift up into a locust. Reach the hands out behind you, lift the chest, lift the legs. Take a breath in. Breath out, release the hands and toes to the mat. Press up to a high plank, take a breath in. Exhale, drop the knees and send the hips back toward the heels. As you inhale, pull yourself through into an up dog. And then exhale back to a down dog facing the back of our mat. Maybe this feels super strange. Maybe this feels normal because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which way we're facing. From here, three-legged dog as the left foot lifts up high to the sky. From here, take a big step forward, left foot to left thumb, and rise up to your high crescent lunge. Rock the weight around. Again, it's okay to have a nice bend in your right knee if that feels good at the moment. Allow the space to feel free and light. We're not stuck in the mud. We're just moving through air right now. Take a breath in. On your exhale, sweep your hands open toward the left side. Right hand reaches forward, left hand reaches back. And again, maybe try to play with those movements of reaching forward and back like a saw. The right hand pulls forward, the left hand pulls back, and use that to create this swinging motion forward and back. Noticing what new space that opens up in the mid-body, and acknowledging that this is a challenge for the legs to stay stable as the upper body moves. And then come back through center, reach the hands up, and then open wide for your warrior two. Relax the arms, open through the hips, open through the chest. Find your ease here, find your strength here. From warrior two, we'll straighten the left leg. Reach the left hand up to the sky to reverse your triangle, work into the side body. And then rotate into your trikonasana, triangle pose. Left hand down, right hand up. Maybe the left hand rests down on the left shin. You can use that as a foundation to open up through the chest. Feeling the hips gently press forward as we lean the right shoulder back. Breathe. As you're ready, rise up to a standing shape. Pivot the feet off toward the left side of the mat again, and then fold forward. Standing wide-legged forward fold once again. Wiggle the hips side to side. Work into your stretch. We won't be here quite as long on this side. And then walk the hands forward to the top of the mat toward the right foot into that runner's lunge. Spike onto the fingertips. Use that to lean the heart forward. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, palm the mat and step back to high plank. Slowly lower down. Chest and belly meet the mat, and then reach back for your locust. This time, work into bow pose if it's in your practice. Reach the hands back to the inner blades of the feet and then kick through. Lift the chest for 3, 2, 1. Release hands and feet down to the mat. Low plank. Press up to high plank. Drop your knees, send your hips back to the heels. Pull yourself through to an upward facing dog, and then back to a downward facing dog. Breathe and pause. Look forward to the top of your mat. As you inhale, rise high onto the toes and bend your knees. As you exhale, step, walk, hop, float, feet to hands. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, Urdhva Hastasana, palms up. Exhale, sink down into chair pose. Stay in your chair or rise up high onto the toes. Work the challenge wherever you are in the legs for 10, 9, 8, 7, nice job, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rise up to standing, straighten the legs. And then bring your palms to heart center. Breathe for a moment. Feel the strength in this standing position as your feet firmly root down into the mat beneath you. We'll find a dancer's pose. First, we'll find that strength rooting down through the left foot, and then bring the inner blade of the right foot up to the right hand. Start in this quad stretch. You can keep your left hand at heart center or lift the left hand up to the sky. Kick through the right foot, lean forward, lean up, dancer's pose. Breathe into the expansion. Maybe keep a micro bend in the left knee to keep you a little bit more stable. Notice what parts of the left foot are pressing down. Feel like you're rooting down through all corners. Breathe here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release to stand. Come onto your right foot. Find dancer's pose. Hook the inside of your left foot with your left hand. Right hand can stay at heart center, or maybe the right hand reaches up to the sky. Start to kick through your left foot and reach forward and up. And if you fall out of this pose or if you feel wobbly, don't worry about it. I've fallen out of this pose more times than I can count, but the reason I can hold this pose with a little bit more ease now is because of all of those attempts that I fell out of when I was learning about my body, when I was learning how I could find stability. Because nothing happens overnight. You keep falling, and then one day it just works. We'll just be here for 3, 2, 1. Slowly release to stand. Take a little break, just shake out the legs, shake out the arms. And we'll go into a little balancing series now. So we're gonna start in that dancer's pose, and then we're gonna take it into some other balances as well. So when we release out of the dancer, we're gonna do our best job to stay balancing on the same leg as we release, and we'll shift the body forward and back and just play with what kind of balances are possible today. And again, having a sort of playfulness right now, right? Where if we fall out of this stuff, it's okay. We can smile at ourselves, get back up, and try again. Because again, at the end of the day, none of us are perfect, and we're just here striving to be our best selves. So from here, we'll find a dancer's pose, standing on the left foot, hooking the inside of the right foot with the right hand. Left hand reaches up, and then kick into your dancer. And it doesn't need to be your most intense dancer, because you know we're already taking into this other stretches in a second. From dancer, we're gonna release into warrior 3. So as softly as we can, release the right foot from the grip of the right hand. Bring your palms to center and kick the right leg out behind you. Try as hard as you can to straighten and become firm in the right leg. And then we're gonna shift it forward into a stork pose. So right knee lifts up in toward the chest. Awesome work. From stork pose, you can stay here, or you can extend the right leg. Awesome job wherever you are. We'll take this into an eagle pose. Right foot wraps over and behind the left leg, and then the right arm goes under the left as we find this eagle bind. And if this eagle bind is too challenging for your arms, you can always just give yourself a nice big hug and wrap one shoulder over the other, and that's definitely a great variation. But we're in this eagle pose. We'll balance for a moment, and then come into stork pose, lifting the right knee up into your chest. Keep the bind in the arms, and then release to stand. We're keeping the bind in the arms just to give a little more shoulder stretch. Reach the elbows up, push the forearms away for 3, 2, 1, and then release those arms. We'll take a break between sides. I'll explain the eagle bind a little bit more. So for eagle, if we wrap the right leg over, we also wrap the right arm under the left. You can start off with your hands kind of just out like an X, and then we lift the palms and forearms closer to one another. So this creates a really nice shoulder opener. And again, a good variation for that is just crossing the arms and then giving yourself a hug, because you'll also get a great shoulder opener. So with that being said, let's move into the other side. We're standing on the right foot. We hook the inner edge of the left foot with the left hand, and we'll come into dancer's pose, reaching forward, reaching up. Find your breath, and then we'll release this as slow as possible. Left foot kicks back behind us, hands draw to heart center as we come into a warrior 3. Engage and drive through the left foot. Shift it forward into a stork pose. Left knee lifts up in toward the chest. Keep the left leg here, or maybe extend the left leg. This is so challenging for me. Woo! Really fires up that quad and hip flexor. And then we'll cross the left leg over the right for dancer's pose. So left leg over, which means left arm under, as we come into the eagle bind with the arms. Work into the balance for a moment. And then we'll come into stork pose, lifting the left knee up in toward the chest, and then releasing to stand, and then lifting the elbows higher, pushing the forearms away, staying in the upper body bind for a moment, and then release the arms out. Whew. Good job, y'all. We have one more opportunity to try that balancing challenge on both sides. So come onto the left foot. Find your dancer, hooking the inner blade of the right foot with the right hand. Left hand up, kick through. Find your expansive pose. And then release into your warrior 3. As light as you can, the right foot unbinds and kicks back. Palms come to heart center. Shift the weight forward, come into stork pose, lifting the right knee up into the chest. Good. Option to stay here, option to extend the right leg. And then we'll cross the right leg over the left. Right arm binds under the left arm as we come into our eagle shape. Lift the elbows up, press the forearms away. And then come into a standing stork pose, right knee into the chest. Take a breath in. Exhale, release the legs, keep the arms, lift the elbows, press the forearms away, take a breath in. And exhale, release. Whew. All right, last side here. We'll stand on the right leg, come into dancer's pose, hooking the inner blade of the left foot with the left hand, right hand up, kick and lift. From here, as light as you can, release the left leg back behind you as the palms come to heart center, warrior three. Bring it through stork pose, lift the left knee up into the chest. Option to stay here or extend the left leg. Woo-wee. And then cross the left leg over the right. Bind the left arm under the right. Eagle pose. From here, slowly unwinding and bringing the left knee in toward the chest. Take a breath in. And then exhale, dropping the left foot down, but standing up and keeping the bind in the arms, lifting the elbows, pushing the forearms away. Take a breath in. And then exhale, release. Sweep the palms up to the sky, breathe in. Exhale, fold forward. Let that go. Shake out the legs in your forward fold. Find a halfway lift. And then fold, step back to downward facing dog. No need for a vinyasa that time. Shake the weight around in your down dog for a moment. And then come into a tabletop position. We have one more active part of the class today where we're going to challenge ourselves and play with our mobility and our ability to kind of just shift the weight around between different points of contact. So we're going to come into our tabletop position. From tabletop, tuck the toes, hover the knees off the mat. And let's play. So this might seem weird the first time, but it's going to get easier. Hover the right heel off the mat. From here, we're going to guide the right knee underneath the body as we swivel on the left toes, lifting the left hand up to the sky, and then the left hand will lower back behind us. Reverse tabletop, drive through the hands and feet to lift the hips off the mat. Good. And then release the hips down. We'll swivel back where we came. So we're going to lift the left hand off the mat. We'll swivel on the left toes. Right knee guides back under the body. And we're in this floating table. Rest the knees down to the mat and sit back to the heels for a moment. Shake out the arms, roll the wrists around. So that's our movement, right? We're going to do it a few times on each side. We're going to build for a moment. And then just find a rhythm where we can just swivel around and have some fun with it. So come back in the table. Tuck the toes. Float the knees. Lift the left heel off the mat, guide the left knee under the body, right hand lifts, and then come into your reverse table. Press the hips up to the sky. Lower the hips back down. And then we'll swivel on the right toes as we guide the left knee under our body, and the right hand and left foot return. And then come into tabletop, drop your knees, sit back to your heels once again, roll out the wrists, roll out our shoulders. So that's our movement. I'm going to cue us a little bit quicker now. And if these movements feel confusing or a little bit too much, don't worry about it. Just try your best. Maybe you stick with it. Maybe you move a little bit slower than I'm cueing. And either way, that's so perfect. Just take what your body needs and maybe just challenge yourselves and have fun. So tuck the toes, lift the knees off the mat. From here, lift the right foot, swivel on the left toes, right knee threads under, come into reverse tabletop. Take a breath in to lift the hips off the mat. Exhale, lower the hips. Swivel back, right knee under the body, come into floating table. Immediately left side, left heel lifts, guide the left knee under the body. Right hand lifts, and we'll flip into our reverse table. Press the hips up, take a breath in. Exhale, release and soften. Swivel on the right toes, left knee guides under the body for floating tabletop. Drop down to regular tabletop for a moment and just shift the weight around. And we'll do that one more time. Tuck the toes, float the knees off the mat. Lift the right foot, swivel the right knee under the body, flip into reverse table. Press the hips up, take a breath in. Drop the hips, swivel on the left toes, right knee under the body to reverse table. Lift the left foot, guide the left knee under the body, flip yourself into reverse table. Press the hips high, take a breath in. Then exhale, lower the hips, swivel on the right toes, guide the left knee under the body, and release. Sit back to your heels. How did that feel? I'm curious. It feels a little bit more stable for me each time I find those movements, and it's something that's just kind of fun to play with. So we'll do that one more time. Bring the hands and feet down to the mat, tuck the toes, hover the knees. Lift the right foot off the mat, guide the right knee under the body, flip yourself into a reverse table, take a breath in to drive the hips up, and then exhale, release, swivel as we guide the right knee back under the body, and then float the left foot. Left knee guides under the body, flip yourself into a reverse table, press into your shape, And then release the hips down. Swivel on the right feet to release the left toes back into your floating table. From here, release the knees down, and we'll send the legs out in front of us for a seated forward fold. We'll keep the legs narrow this time. Y'all know I love my wide-legged folds, but today we'll keep it narrow. We'll just sit up as tall as we can, and we'll do that by placing the hands firmly next to the hips, driving through the hands as much as we can, even finding that external rotation that we talked about in plank pose at the beginning of the class. So externally rotating, biceps forward, triceps back, drive through the hands, pressing so much that you want to sit up as tall as you can as we lift the chest and hug the shoulder blades together. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, release, fold over the legs. You can have a soft bend in your knees here if that feels nice. You can round the spine as much as you want to right now. As long as you feel a nice stretch in the hamstrings, as long as you feel a little bit of a release and tension in the shoulders, neck, and jaw regions. Just breathe. From here, sit up nice and tall. And this time we will spread our legs wide. Y'all knew what was coming. Wide-legged seated forward fold. Same thing. Can't talk today. Place the hands next to the hips and drive through the hands to lift the chest and sit up taller. Take a breath in. As we exhale, fold down over the middle. We'll just take a few breaths here. Option to find stillness. Option to rock the weight around if you'd like to. Let it be light. Maybe 4 more breaths. Start to sit up and release. Bring your feet out in front of you and then roll onto your back. Find a Supta Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees out wide. Maybe rest the hands on the heart and belly. Feel your breath, feel your restoration. When you're ready, take a cleansing breath in. Breathe up to your fullest capacity. Take a pause at the top of your inhale. Hold it in. And then take a big sigh out. Place your feet flat on the mat. Knees point up. Hands rest by your hips. And then drive through the feet. Lift the hips high off the mat for bridge pose. The hands can remain by your side, or you can interlace the hands behind your low back and wiggle the shoulders closer to one another. Excuse me. Drive through the feet, lift your hips a little bit higher. Feel the glutes get involved. Breathe into your strength. We found a lot of expansion and strengthening in the backside body today, all those dancers and bow poses and locusts. So we're really prepared to find a strong bridge pose here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release everything down to the mat. Wave the knees side to side. Let that go. We'll have another chance to come into bridge pose. Of course, if you're feeling like you'd rather take a full wheel or Urdhva Dhanurasana by placing your hands above your shoulders, by all means, go for it. As you're ready, lift back up. I'm going to take another bridge pose and just see how that feels. But wherever you're at, emphasize the breath. Maybe try to find a fuller expression than the first time. Maybe not. It is your practice after all. Find the opening. We'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rock the hips back down and then hug both knees into the chest. From here, there's an option for an inversion. And your inversion can look like this exact shape, just hugging the knees in. It can look like finding your happy baby by hugging the armpits in, or oh my gosh, I really can't talk, by hugging the knees in toward the armpits and clasping the outside edges of the feet. You can find a shoulder stand by bringing the hands to the low back and bringing the feet overhead. Or you can even just go straight to a plow pose by lowering the feet behind you. Either way, as long as your feet are above your heart, it counts as a nice inversion to me. Wherever you are, we'll have about 3 to 4 more breaths. And as you're ready, slowly rock everything back down to the mat. Give yourself a big squeeze. And then release the legs out in front of you. Rest your hands by your side or on your heart and belly. Feel so supported by the mat underneath you. Feel the spine rest. Feel all the muscles relax. Yogis, this is where I will drop you off today. You're more than welcome to linger in this resting pose, in this shavasana, and take a meditation. You're more than welcome to continue on your practice journey if you'd like to remain on your mat. Either way, thank you so much for being here. It truly fills my heart to share this practice with everybody. I hope to see you soon on or off the mat. Until next time, have a beautiful day. Peace and love.